Welcome to Daily News in AI Agents, the place to get a quick roundup of the most exciting developments in AI agents every day. Subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter today in the link below to stay activated.
All right, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving headfirst into a crazy amount of AI news just from the last 2 days. Articles, podcasts, you name it, all flooding in from the Decoder, MarkTech Post, TechCrunch, even Unite.ai. Clearly, you all are just as obsessed as I am with finding the signal in this AI noise explosion. We've got everything from AI agents taking over the world, well, maybe not taking over the world, but definitely on the rise. And of course, those giant large language models, everybody's talking about those, AI shaking up the retail scene. And get this, even AI expert Kai-Fu Lee decided to write a fiction book. So, got to talk about that.
Yeah, it's wild how much is happening so fast, like even keeping up is a full-time job these days.
No kidding, right. And that's exactly why we do these deep dives, got to sort the hype from the reality. So, for example, is Elon Musk's Grok AI actually as good as they're claiming? Are these smaller language models going to totally overshadow those giant ones? And can AI actually, get depressed? Let's dive in and see what we can find out.
Sounds like a plan, so where should we jump in first?
Well, everyone and their dog seems to be buzzing about AI chatbots and agents lately, so let's start there. First off, we got this article from the Decoder about Grok AI, Elon Musk's thing. Apparently, they upgraded it, made it way faster, and now they're saying it can even rival Sonnet 3.5 in following prompts, which, that's a pretty big deal, but here's where it gets really interesting. Ready for this?
Okay, I'm listening.
Grok is now citing legacy media as sources, so like your traditional news outlets.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that has a ton of potential consequences. Think about it. You're asking this AI for information, but it's pulling from sources that have their own biases and viewpoints,
Yeah.
It really shows how we're venturing into a whole new world with this stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's like you're getting your news from a chatbot, but then where's the chatbot even getting its news from? It just adds another layer to that whole fake news thing and makes you wonder how we'll ever know if AI is giving us good info.
Absolutely. And, that actually connects really well with the other big story in this chatbot world, the rise of AI agents. You got this TechCrunch article that's asking, what exactly is an AI agent? And the funny thing is, nobody seems to totally agree yet on what that even means.
So, what is it then?
Well, the basic idea is that an AI agent can take care of complex tasks for you, but without needing much input from you, the human.
Okay, that sounds cool and all, but can you give me a real example? What kind of task could I just hand off to an agent right now?
Okay, picture this. Imagine an AI travel agent. And I don't just mean booking flights and hotels. I mean, it actually researches destinations based on what you like, suggests personalized itineraries for you, handles all that annoying stuff like currency exchange and visas. It's basically like having a superpower personal assistant who knows exactly what you want before you even do.
Whoa, okay, sign me up for that. That would be amazing. Though, thinking about all these AI agents taking over tasks, it does make you wonder what happens to human jobs then, right?
And on a slightly different note, we also have this TechCrunch article that's probably going to get some people riled up. It's all about Trump's tech advisors and how they're really worried about AI censorship.
Yeah, this article is basically saying some of Trump's advisors are worried AI will be used to silence certain viewpoints. And they're calling for some ways to make sure AI doesn't mess with free speech. It's a really tricky situation. No easy answers. And honestly, it's part of a much bigger conversation that's happening right now about what role AI should play in moderating online content.
Totally. It's like a balancing act. You don't want AI to become some censorship machine. But then again, we do need to figure out how to stop misinformation from spreading everywhere, which happens a lot online. Definitely a conversation we need to have, and probably one that's not going away anytime soon. For sure. Okay, so moving on from the world of maybe scary AI agents and censorship, let's talk about those large language models, those LLMs everyone's obsessed with, especially because there's this article in the Decoder that caught my eye. It's saying that LLMs are actually getting smaller.
Wait, smaller. I thought bigger was always better when it came to these models, more parameters, more power.
Yeah, that's how we used to think.
Yeah.
But the latest research is suggesting that maybe things are changing. These newer language models are doing just as well, maybe even better in some cases. And they're using fewer parameters, which means they're more efficient and need less power to run.
So does that mean the days of those giant power-hungry LLMs are over? What does this shift to smaller models even mean?
Well, it's hard to say if they're totally over, but the trend is definitely super interesting. Think about it. Smaller models can be much faster and way more accessible to people. Imagine powerful AI tools that anyone can use, not just these huge companies with tons of computers.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this. It's like AI for everyone, but are these smaller models really as good as the massive ones?
That's the million-dollar question, and the early research seems to say that in a lot of cases, yeah, they can get the same results.
Mhm.
This could be a huge shift, especially for things where speed and efficiency are super important.
This is making me think about how we even judge how good these models are, especially when it comes to making images. It feels so subjective, you know? Like, how do you even measure that?
You need objective measures for that. Thankfully, there's this article from MarkTech Post about a new tool from Meta AI called EvalGIM.
EvalGIM, what is that? Some kind of AI judge?
Aha, not quite. It stands for Evaluating Generative Image Models. It's basically a set of tests to figure out how good these text-to-image models are, like how realistic, how diverse their images are, and if they match what you asked for. Instead of just going, yeah, that AI image looks pretty good, we can use data to compare models and see how they're improving.
Oh, that's smart. So instead of just gut feeling, we can say, this model is better at making realistic images than that other one based on actual numbers.
Exactly, and that's going to be super important as more and more people are using these models. We got to be able to compare them, see what they're good and bad at, and make sure they're making stuff that meets our expectations.
Makes sense. And speaking of pushing the limits of what AI can do, we also have this MarkTech Post article about something called Intern LM X Composer 2.5 Omni Live.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a mouthful. But it's a really good example of how far we've come with multimodal AI systems.
Hmm.
This one's all about handling long-term streaming video and audio, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
Break that down to me. What does that even mean in the real world?
It means we're getting closer to AI that can process information like humans do, using multiple senses at the same time.
Mm.
This system can look at video, listen to audio, and read text all at once in real time, which opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities.
Mhm. Whoa, that is a lot to take in. I think I need a break to process all this. Maybe some of those AI-generated snacks would be nice right now.
Haha, yeah, maybe in the future.
Seriously, though, I think we've covered enough for one episode. We've barely scratched the surface of all this.
I agree, but hopefully this gives everyone a good starting point for their own AI adventures.
Definitely. And don't worry, there's way more to come. We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll be tackling AI in retail. The mind-blowing question of whether AI can actually experience emotions like depression, and even explore how AI is showing up in fiction.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around those AI agents planning my vacations and those LLMs shrinking like crazy. It's wild.
Right, it's like the AI world is on. Fast forward.
Totally. But let's keep this energy going. We're talking about how data is basically the fuel for all this AI magic, so let's dig into that a bit more. We've got this article from MarkTech Post about a new AI paper that's talking about something called SRDF.
SRDF, that's a self-refining data flywheel. It's all about making better data sets for this thing called vision and language navigation. So basically, you're training an AI agent to navigate a city or a building using visual cues and instructions you give it in regular English.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like giving an AI a set of directions and then just letting it loose in the world.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like giving AI a sense of adventure, but with a purpose.
Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind. I mean, I can barely navigate my own apartment some days. But seriously, why is this flywheel thing so important? Like, what's the big deal?
Well, think of it like this. It creates this feedback loop where the AI is constantly learning and making the data better as it explores. So the agent picks up new info, flags any mistakes or things that don't make sense, and basically updates the map as it goes. It's like a self-improving explorer.
So it's like the AI is learning from its mistakes and actually getting smarter as it explores. That's pretty incredible. It makes me think, could this kind of learning be used for other things besides just navigating? Like, could an AI learn to write better code by constantly improving its own code base as it works?
It's a really interesting question, and honestly, it's something researchers are definitely looking into. This idea of AI systems that can self-improve opens up a ton of possibilities. It's exciting stuff.
It is. And speaking of pushing the limits of what AI can do, we also have this podcast episode from Intel on AI where they're talking to Stephen Wolfram. He's a pretty big deal in the world of computational science, you know, the guy behind Mathematica and Wolfram Alpha.
Oh, yeah, I remember using those back in college. What's he got to say about AI these days?
Well, he's talking about some pretty big picture stuff, like this concept of a computational universe.
Computational universe. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
So basically, the idea is that our physical reality, like everything around us, might actually be a form of computation.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying the universe is like one giant computer program.
In a way, yeah. It's like there's this massive cosmic program running in the background, and everything we experience from gravity to galaxies is all a result of that program running.
That's mind-blowing, but it also kind of makes sense. I mean, we're always finding these patterns in nature, and those patterns often follow mathematical rules.
Exactly. And Wolfram also talks about some of the limitations of current AI, especially when it comes to really understanding and reasoning like humans do.
So even someone like Stephen Wolfram is saying that AI hasn't cracked the code of true understanding yet.
It seems that way, yeah. He argues that while AI is great at recognizing patterns and processing data, it doesn't really get causality, context, meaning, those deeper things.
Hmm. So what does he think is needed to get AI to that next level of understanding then?
He talks a lot about finding better ways for humans and machines to communicate and work together. He thinks if we can develop shared computational languages, ways to bridge the gap between human thought and machine processing, then we can really unlock AI's potential to solve some of the biggest problems we face.
A shared language for humans and AI, that's a really fascinating idea. I mean, sometimes we have trouble understanding each other, let alone trying to talk to a machine.
Right. But imagine if we could figure that out. The possibilities are endless. Okay, maybe we should come back down to Earth for a minute and talk about something a little less cosmic, like social media. We got this article from Unite.ai about a new tool called Genius AI.
Genius AI, what's that all about?
Well, they're calling it a way to create instant social media posts that sell. So basically, an AI marketing assistant that claims to understand your target audience and write awesome social media content for you.
Oh, that's clever. I can see why marketers would be all over that. With all the competition online, anything that can help you stand out and get people's attention is valuable.
For sure. But I'm curious, how does this AI even know what works on social media? Is it just copying what other popular accounts are doing?
It's more than just copying. It analyzes successful content, sure, but it's also using machine learning to figure out the patterns and principles that make those posts engaging and effective. It's like having the AI intern who studies the best social media marketers and learns their secrets.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, AI is already used for targeted ads and recommendations, so why not use it to make the content itself? Though, I gotta be honest, I'm a little skeptical. Can an AI really capture the creativity and that human touch that makes good social media marketing work?
Yeah, that's the big question. And honestly, it's one we'll probably be debating for a while. This article doesn't give any actual data to back up their claims that this AI actually gets better results, so I take it with a grain of salt.
Agreed. We'll have to keep an eye on this Genius AI and see if it lives up to the hype. And speaking of AI and its impact in the real world, we also have this TechCrunch article that's revisiting something we talked about earlier. Trump's tech advisors and their concerns about AI censorship. It seems like this is becoming a recurring theme.
Yeah, this article is basically picking up where we left off in the last part. Trump's advisors are still worried about AI being used to silence certain voices, and they're pushing for ways to protect free speech.
I get why people are concerned about this, especially now when algorithms have so much power over what we see online. But it's a really complex issue with no easy solutions.
Exactly. It brings up questions about who decides what's considered harmful, how we make sure AI systems are fair and don't discriminate, and how we balance free speech with stopping the spread of misinformation. It's a conversation we need to have as a society, and it needs to involve everyone and be focused on finding solutions that work for everyone.
Absolutely. Okay. I think we've covered a ton of ground in this part of our deep dive. We've explored self-learning data for navigation, Stephen Wolfram's mind-bending ideas about the universe being a computation, AI taking over social media marketing, and the ongoing debate about AI and censorship. It's been a lot, but I feel like I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together in the AI world.
Me too. It's clear that AI isn't just some futuristic thing anymore. It's already shaping our world in major ways right now.
Exactly, and there's still so much more to uncover. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll be looking at AI in retail, the mind-boggling question of whether AI can experience emotions like depression, and we'll even explore how AI is showing up in fiction, so stay tuned.
Sounds good. See you in part 3.
Welcome back for the final stretch of our AI deep dive. We've covered some seriously mind-bending stuff, from AI agents to computational universes, and even AI trying to take over social media marketing. It's been a wild ride, but there's still so much more to explore. So let's start with something a bit more down to earth. We have this TechCrunch article about the 2025 Lucid Air Pure, that new electric car hitting the market.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. It's supposed to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's not just about being a sleek electric car. There's all this talk about its potential for AI integration. The article mentions something about room for tech tune-ups, which makes it sound like the car's software and AI can keep evolving.
That's really interesting. So it's not just a car, it's like a constantly learning machine on wheels.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what kind of AI features they're talking about. Are we talking self-driving capabilities? Maybe a robot chauffeur who brings you snacks?
Uh-huh. Well, maybe not the snacks yet, but think about what we're already seeing. AI-powered driver assistance systems are getting more and more advanced. We're seeing personalized in-car experiences, even predictive maintenance that can spot problems before they happen. The Lucid Air Pure is probably going to build on all of that and maybe even push things further.
That's pretty cool. It makes you wonder what driving will even be like 10 years from now. Will we even need steering wheels anymore? Okay, let's switch gears back to those language models for a minute. We were talking earlier about how smaller LLMs are challenging the idea that bigger is always better. And this article from the Decoder dives deeper into that trend.
Yeah, this is a really big deal in the AI world. For a long time, we thought these huge language models with billions or even trillions of parameters were the key to better performance. But now researchers are finding that smaller, more efficient models can get similar or even better results for certain tasks.
So it's not just about throwing more computing power at the problem anymore. It's about designing smarter algorithms and training those models in a more efficient way.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not just harder. And this shift toward smaller models has huge implications for accessibility. It means these powerful AI tools could become available to way more people. Individuals, small businesses, researchers who don't have access to those massive data centers. It's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. It feels like we're at a turning point in AI. We're moving away from these giant resource-intensive models to something more nimble and adaptable. It's like the difference between a giant old mainframe computer and a smartphone you can carry in your pocket.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights another important point. With these smaller models, AI becomes less about centralized power and more about distributed innovation. More people can experiment, try new things, and find new uses for this technology.
That's a really optimistic way to look at it. It feels like we've covered a whole universe of information in this deep dive, from the philosophical implications of a computational universe to the very real challenges of AI censorship. And the exciting possibilities of AI agents and self-refining data. It's been quite a journey.
It really has, and honestly, we're just getting started. The AI world is constantly changing, and it's up to all of us to stay informed, think critically, and shape the future of this technology.
I couldn't agree more. So, to everyone listening, what stood out to you the most in this deep dive? What AI development are you most excited about, or maybe a little worried about? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Until next time, happy AI adventures.